Hello, party people. Welcome to my bathroom. I normally don't really record stuff in my bathroom too much because it's just so blank. I really need to just get photos to go on my wall. I need to like do everything. Like, guys, I've been in this apartment for 7 months now, and it still feels like when you're in just like an Airbnb and you have like the service reset settings. Like, that's what my apartment feels like. It doesn't feel like it has character. We're getting ready. I'm specifically getting ready to go out with my mom to the Met Opera, which I'm really excited about because I feel like that's something different that I don't really do. Like, normally I'm getting ready to go to the movies, but this time I'm going to the Met Opera and we're gonna watch a show called Porgy and Bess. So I'm excited for that, but I need to do my makeup, do my hair, all in less than an hour. I asked you guys both on Instagram and YouTube to give me like questions that you have, advice, girl talk stuff. And a lot of you guys kind of had like similar things that like you wanted to talk about or that you had questions about. And I feel like we haven't done one of these in a long time. Like, I haven't just like sat down, did my makeup and had a little gab. Because a lot of this stuff kind of fit into the same category, I'm deciding to break this into like sections, like 3 main sections. So the first one is going to be content creation slash how to kind of get into the content creation influencer space. The second one is going to be like post-grad, life in your 20s advice. And then the last one is dating. You always save that for last, you know? Okay, I also have my matcha here. I would rate this matcha it's like a 6. It's a 6. The taste is okay. Like, the flavoring wise is fine, but it's still the thickness. But I did, for Black Friday, I just ordered a milk frother. So I think that's gonna really help me like get the perfect matcha at home that I need. 2 questions I'm kind of going to answer at the same time. If you were to start afresh as a content creator, what will you do differently? If I were to start social media, I started my social media journey 5 years ago. I started in the peak of COVID. And I feel like a lot of people don't really remember that I started out on TikTok, but not really, because it didn't really take off. It took off a little bit where I got like I had like a few viral videos, but this was in the era of like dancing TikTok. Like, I was trying to do like the Charli D'Amelio dancing TikTok. I was literally just dancing on the app. Like, I was not speaking, just dancing. I mean, like, for 2020, I feel like everybody was getting views, especially if you were just dancing on the app. So I was getting a good amount of views. But then, and like, my goal was literally just to be Charli D'Amelio and be invited to the Hype House. Like, I was so parasocial with it. I was like, I just want to see what's up in that house. Just want to see what they're doing in there, you know? It just looked really exciting. And then I had a video, I feel like a lot of people know the story if you've been with me for a while, but I had a video that like went like really big, like got like a few million views, and it was literally just me like standing there and dancing. And then like, but the comments were like atrocious. I was just like, well, this is bothersome. I don't want to be here. And I kind of just like stopped posting on TikTok. And that was kind of like around the summertime, because I started posting on TikTok my last semester of senior year of high school. I've always watched so much YouTube. Like, YouTube has always been the thing that I watch over TV, especially like growing up. I actually watched so much Dear and Ken growing up, and then I watched a lot of DDG. In my later years, I watched a lot of Emma Chamberlain, Larray, Liza Koshy, David Dobrik, and I finally decided, I think it was probably beginning of August, where I was like, well, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. The whole reason that I started a YouTube channel was because I loved Emma Chamberlain so much, and I just wanted to be Emma Chamberlain. I was like, that was the core. If I were to start new right now as a content creator, what would I do differently? Me starting on YouTube, I feel like every time I tell people that, they're like, what? Like, when I tell people that in the industry, like when I go to different events and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I started on YouTube, they're like what? Because growing on YouTube is a lot harder than growing on, let's say, TikTok. I don't even count Instagram as a platform anymore because I don't know what they're doing with their algorithm. As of right now, growing on TikTok is astronomically easier than growing on YouTube for so many factors, but just like the algorithm on TikTok is just set up to be beneficial to new creators, because it just like the For You page and the way that it pushes out content is really so good for like, you know, just getting exposure for your videos. That is genuinely the best way to grow right now. YouTube, the algorithm on YouTube is like a science. It's like so hard to like figure it out, and it's like very specific. Like there's all of these intricate things. It's like your watch time and your duration, which like TikTok has that as well, but TikTok more so has the chance for virality because there's so many people on the app just scrolling, and people see so many different TikToks a day. Like if you think about it, when you open up YouTube, you're probably only watching maybe 3 to 4 videos maximum a day, depending on how long they are. I probably watch 1 to 2 because I tend to watch people that post hour-long videos, so it's like 2 hours, you know? Versus think about how many TikToks you see a day, and then think about you being one of those people that posts on TikTok, and then how many TikToks you see a day. It's more likely that somebody is going to find you on TikTok than they would on YouTube. And especially because YouTube, I feel like people, once they find their specific creators that like are their comfort creators and they vibe with, they normally don't have the like desire to branch out and look for new people. What I would do differently is I would genuinely start on TikTok. That's what I tell everybody that's like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, cool, I hear you, I get you. Post on TikTok. Post on TikTok. If you're not posting on TikTok, you are missing out on like the creme of the crop. You're missing out on an opportunity to just have thousands of more people be able to see you easier. And people then often forget that you can use your TikTok to funnel people to your YouTube. Like you could be like, hey guys, like if you want to see more of me, I also have a YouTube channel, and that's a great way to grow the YouTube channel. What are my thoughts on girlies doing social media only to get monetized versus passion? 5 years ago, COVID, when like TikTok was just popping up, I still think that the idea of the influencer in 2020 wasn't even really solidified. I think we had our big, massive creators that we knew were making money from this career, and we knew were like getting paid, but it wasn't like, I don't think it was like connotated with like, okay, influencer in my head. Like when I think of like 𝐿𝐼𝐍𝐿𝐒, I was like, okay, like yes, I knew she was getting paid like crazy amounts, but it wasn't like influencer in my brain. It was just like, okay, like that's 𝐿𝐼𝐍𝐿𝐒, she's a YouTuber, you know? It was kind of like you were known for the platform you're on. Like I think of all the famous Viners. We didn't call them influencers, we just called them Viners. Or if you were famous for YouTube, you were just called a YouTuber. Post-COVID in 2020, we saw an extreme shift of like just the content creator industry as a whole, where it's so much more easily accessible to create and have people see your creations. And then with the creation of TikTok, it's also 10 times easier now, 5 years later, than it was 5 years before to monetize from your creations. I forget the number every day, but I think that the influencer marketing industry is like quoted at something $1 billion. It's like $1 billion industry. At the end of the day, like it is a mode of marketing. The reason that it's so successful for brands, and the reason that brands keep coming back to like influencer marketing, and the reason that they pour so much money into like making sure that they do that, is because it does really successfully help businesses grow. Honestly, I don't have a qualm or a problem or like any negative thoughts with somebody that says, I want to pick up the camera because I want to be an influencer. Like, because at the end of the day, being an influencer is a job. Like, if you want to scale and if you want to like get bigger, like most likely you will end up getting paid from it at some point down the line. I wouldn't like turn up my nose at somebody being like, oh, I want to begin for monetization necessarily, but I don't think that that can be the only reason that you start. Let that be something that is just known, right? Like, you know that, okay, if you start posting on the internet, there's a possibility of monetization. And like, that's just known. Like, that's just like a given. But don't let that be the thing that propels you and that is your why and like why you're creating and like your purpose for creating, because then if you're not making money, you won't want to create. I think of this industry similar to how one would think of like the acting industry or the modeling industry, where there's like actors that they work years and years before they get their big role. There's some actors that work 1 year and they get their big role. We literally have no idea. We literally have no idea. That's the one thing where it's like, this is out of your hands. That's the one thing where like this business is like different than, let's say, maybe becoming a doctor or a lawyer, where you kind of understand, okay, if I do this much amount of school, if I study this much, if I get this number on my bar exam, whatever, like I can kind of tell where I'll go in the trajectory of my career. Kind of the influencer marketing career is really dependent on a lot of people that aren't you. It's dependent on, are people resonating with your content? And then it's also dependent on, are people seeing my content? And then it's also dependent on, like, the monetization aspect is normally dependent on, like, do brands value my content? So it's like taking so many other people's opinions, similar to acting, right? Your entire acting career is dependent on whether a casting director wants to cast you or not. And like, that's it. It's like all in the hands of this one person. We all have knowledge that like this can become a job, and I do actually love that it's become a job, because I do think that it's a female dominated industry, which is amazing. Initially, like, just creating that account or pulling up the camera to be like, okay, well, I'm putting up this camera because I want to make X amount of money. It could be the thing that you're setting up the camera for, but I guarantee, like, if you don't make that X amount of money right away, you're gonna lose the motivation, right? So pick, like, what is the thing that actually motivates you? What is like the purpose to create? When I started my YouTube channel, my like purpose for creating the channel was connection. Like, at the end of the day, I will be happy if I just connect with people. Because it was like, my whole thing was, I didn't feel like I had that many friends, and then like, I always felt like the YouTubers that I watched were like my friends. And like, I just had this like parasocial relationship with them, and I was like, well, I wanna be a comfortable presence for other people where they feel like they're less alone when they walk through life, because they know they can come home, put on YouTube and like watch a comfort creator and feel less alone, you know? That was why I pulled out the camera initially. And with that, then, if there's any lulls or any moments in my content creator posting where, let's say, like, views are low, or let's say I'm not making as much money, right? I go back to the core of like, why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Connection. So it's like, okay, am I not getting paid as much right now? Sure. Am I not getting as much views? Sure. But are people connecting? Like, are people gaining something from this? Are people, like, am I making people feel less alone as they walk through the world? And like, if I see that, normally like with comments or like DMs that I get from you guys, then I'm like, okay, that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me posting through like the low view jail or like low seasons, like not making money. Remembering like what you're doing it for at the end of the day. I think that it's helpful to have that be something other than money, because if the money's not coming, because technically that's out of your control, you need your motivation to be something that's in your control. Do you think it's more difficult being in the influencer social media industry now versus then? It might be the same. Like, I don't know if it's harder or easier, but I do think it might be the same. But I also, part of me does really feel like it's easier simply because of TikTok. Every time, like, if a family member, if a friend comes to me and they're like, I want to start, I'm like, but girl, I don't see you on TikTok. And like, that's just because like the algorithm is literally set up for you to win. One of the only platforms where really the algorithm is set up for you to win. So I do think with the inclusion of that, it has become a little bit easier, low-key. Because if I remember like the YouTubers that I watched, it was very much like a small pool of people that I felt really like were successful. And now when you look at it, there's so many people. Like, when I go to events and like I meet other creators, they'll be like, yeah, like I have like 1 million, 2 million followers. And it's just like, whoa, like I've never even seen your content. But that just goes to show how many people are actually like finding success with this. And I feel like it's so much more now than before. And I think that people often find that as like a negative, or that scares them, because they're like, oh, well, it's oversaturated. You entering the market is never gonna oversaturate it if you lean into what makes you unique. Because at the end of the day, nobody is you. Nobody acts and says things and does things and thinks exactly the way that you do. So there's never an oversaturation for you, you know? Just like be you, and that will already be something new added to the space. I would look at it as like, there's so many people, that means there's so many more examples of how I could reach success. Because there's so many different people that have like gotten here like through different ways, that you have so many examples to now study from. And a few people asked about equipment. Somebody said, what do you use to like film your videos? And then someone said, how do you start doing YouTube? What did you use to edit and record when starting? So I started out, I was very blessed, very privileged, and I'm also like, I low-key like marketed my parents, because I think it was my 18th birthday, and I sat down and I was like, all I want is this specific camera. I did a hella research on what camera I wanted, and I was like, all I want is this specific camera, and I promise you guys, you will receive a return on investment, because I'm gonna do YouTube full time, and then I'll be able to pay you back for the camera. My parents, bless them, they're like amazing people. They probably didn't even believe that, and they were just like, well, she wants a camera, let's just get her the camera. Like, that's all she asked for. So bless my parents, like that was such a privilege. They bought me the Sony ZV-1, and that was my first camera, and I used that camera to the ground until it broke. And I haven't switched from Sony yet. There was one time that I tried to use a Canon, and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm such a Sony video girl, and I do always recommend the Sony ZV-1, Sony ZV-E10. The one I'm recording on right now is the Sony ZV-1F. I know that's a lot of letters, but this one's cool. I like this one because it's super compact and it doesn't have an external lens, so I can literally just pop it in my bag, like whenever I'm like running around. But I feel like the quality is a little bit lower for this one, so I do want to upgrade my camera soon to probably the Sony ZV-E10, I believe. So that way I can get like a wider lens and you guys can just get a wider angle. And then the editing platform that I started on and I'm still using to this day, which is crazy, is Final Cut Pro. I think it was a one-time purchase, and then I've just had it for 5 years. Now that it's 5 years of using the same platform, I am ready to move on to something else. I think I want to start using Adobe Premiere Pro. It's like a bit more updated. It has a few more features that are like really nice. And I know you hear a lot of people always say this, but if you can't start out like that, start on your iPhone. And I would say start editing. You can edit videos on CapCut. I think CapCut's free. If you have like an up-to-date iPhone that has really good quality, it's like one of those things where it's like it's already in your pocket. Just like make sure you have good lighting, and I don't know, like you're not in a loud room and something like that, and you'll find that the quality is actually really, really good. Tips for girlies trying to get comfortable making content / the fear of being perceived. This one's hard because I still think I struggle with this one on my Instagram. I feel like I don't know if you guys noticed, but like I post a lot on TikTok, but on my Instagram, like I really don't be posting videos of me speaking on there, just because it's like, my Instagram is, what do I do? Oh, let me set this. Let me do my contour force. My Instagram is like, people that I knew from college are on there, people that I knew from high school are on there. And then also like when I go out to like bars and clubs, like I give out my Instagram to like prospective suitors. I don't know, shoot me. I do get embarrassed when strangers see what I'm doing, and then I also do get, but it's like, that's crazy because it's like everybody's a stranger. But it's just like that, I don't know, just like Instagram is like crazy. But every other platform, I'm like, whatever, chill vibes. Like, I don't care what you think about me on there. Well, when I do have those moments on Instagram, I guess I always try to just remind myself, and like the affirmation I try to give myself is that like, am I living for other people or am I living for me? And like, where do I want to be in life? Where do I want to go? And am I letting these like, first of all, fake ideas and fake thoughts that I don't even know if people are really thinking them, am I letting that dictate my life? And especially, am I letting that derail my life and stop me from excelling and growing, right? Why am I giving them control over my life? I don't even know if I really believe it when I'm saying it, but saying it still helps me just get past that anxiety and still post. And I think eventually if I keep saying it, then maybe I'll believe it. Just like start saying that to yourself, that like, why am I letting other people decide whether or not I can be who I've always wanted to be? Eventually, hopefully, cross your fingers, we will start to believe it. But maybe I'll let you know when I get there, and I don't know. If it's like an issue of like, you know, your friends know you on Instagram or something like that, just make a new account where they're like not watching you in like that vulnerable stage, and like just don't tell them about it. Just like how to start a YouTube channel in general. When I decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel, I locked myself in my room and I just like watched endless YouTube videos. I watched like people that I've never watched before. I searched different videos and I literally just studied how other people were being YouTubers. And I was like, how do they edit their videos? What types of videos are they making? Like, how are they speaking in their videos? Just to give me like a jumping point, and also to figure out like what type of videos did I want to make. I needed to be a consumer to figure out what I wanted to provide for other consumers. And I do feel like that resonates for other platforms as well. Like if you want to post on TikTok, I would say like, as much as it sucks, I do think in the beginning, you kind of got to be a little bit of a doom scroller and just see like, what are other people doing? How are they doing it? Like, how does it kind of work? And it's not like a copying thing. It's not like okay, I'm going to copy this. Like, it's a jumping point to then figure out like, in what lane do you want to go. What advice do you have for people who have started a YouTube channel and for people who have been doing YouTube for a while but aren't seeing any growth? Try something new. If you've been doing the same thing over and over and over again and you're not seeing growth, then you can only attribute that to you seeing that something isn't working and then not trying to fix it. So I would say like study other things, like see what other people are doing, like how are other people getting more views, or like you know what I'm saying, like what other stuff are other people doing, and like what can I try to do differently while still staying authentic to yourself. Base is done, but it's 5:30. Like I need to hurry up. So let me do my blush. Moving on to kind of just like life in your 20s. Navigating friendships in your 20s and how to deal with struggling to make friends and loneliness. Either A, struggling to make friends, or B, struggling to maintain friendships. I feel like struggling to maintain friendships is something that like I have been like recently working through. When you were younger and you were going to like college or you were going to high school, you would see your friends every day. And you guys had this set up routine where like you knew, okay, like I'll see you at lunch, or I'll see you in English, and we'll be able to talk there and we'll be able to catch up there. Or like we're going to these college parties together, or you know what I'm saying? Like it was built in, like your schedule to see your friends was like already built into your life. Whereas once you graduate, you guys go your separate ways. Maybe you're still living in the same city, but now like people have jobs and people have different lives and like different things going on. Maintaining your friendships is the same way you would maintain your romantic relationships. And I feel like oftentimes we kind of put a lot of emphasis on maintaining romantic relationships and like, you know, going on dating apps and seeking out this and like making sure you keep dating your partner and going out with your partner and like doing all of these things. But that same thing has to happen with friendships. Treat it exactly how you would treat your, obviously like don't be romantic with your friends. If proximity, because I'm very much like a proximity person, and that's my biggest issue. Like when I'm not in close proximity to my friend or like my friends, then it's so hard for me to stay in contact because I hate texting and I also don't really like being on the phone. When am I going to communicate with you? And I'm just a big let's make a plan person. I'm a big like let's put this on the Google Calendar, let's link up, let's go eat here, let's go do this, and then that's how we'll like keep the friendship going. But that takes effort, and that takes like making a conscious decision to be like, I want to make sure that like I'm seeing my friend, I'm catching up with my friend, like I know what's going on with their life. Understanding your communication style and how you work and like how best for you to do that. Like I know, and my friends are like, I'm not the friend that's gonna text back. Like if I text back, like sure, maybe, but you don't have me on there for a long time. But I love to make a plan. Like I love to make a plan. Like, oh, you saw a new ramen spot, let's go. I think that also comes with not being afraid to be the friend that sets up the plan or initiates the plan. I know it can feel like, oh, maybe this is one-sided, but also it's like understanding your friend and understanding, okay, well, if I'm the friend that wants to be the one that like sets up things, and if I'm the friend that like the best way for me to maintain this friendship is to go out, and maybe that's not the same for my other friend, then it's like, I feel like it's my responsibility, because I know that this is like my communication style and my vibe style, to like initiate that, right? If it was one-sided, they would say no. That's like my whole prerogative. If it was one-sided, they would make up an excuse and you would just never see them. Like that's how like that would go. I would say with making friends is like being open to put yourself out there and like try new things and like do new opportunities. So start doing things alone, or like going to things alone, which is like terrifying. But it's like, let's say you show up to a bar, or let's say you show up to like, I don't know, like a party, or I mean, those are like the hardest ones. But let's say you show up to, maybe you wanted to go to a book club. Instead of inviting a friend that you already have to go to that book club, show up alone, because I guarantee there will probably be someone else there alone. And if there's not, maybe there's a group of girls that like you can latch onto and you can be like, hey, do. And then they'll be more open to chat with you because you're alone. And like, it might even be a pity thing. They might be like, oh damn, like I gotta help her out, like she's standing here all alone, like we gotta include her. And then that might be like the start of a friendship. And then this leads into, someone asked how to be content being single and doing things alone. And I think how to be content with being single would be then focusing on pouring into friendships. Like either if you have friends already, or if you're trying to make friends, like focus on that vibe, and focus on building those relationships, because those relationships, like your platonic relationships in life, are just as important as your romantic ones. And I feel like oftentimes society doesn't like put pressure on that, and doesn't put pressure, like the pressure is always put on like, oh, well, like I want to be married by this age and I want to do this by this age because I want to build a life with this person. But like, imagine how amazing it is if like I want to have like a really close, deep friendship by my 30s or something like that. You also could like build a life with your friend, like not in like a weird way. That's always been my dream, is to just like have friends or something like that where, you know, we just grow together through life. I love when I see interactions like that where people are like excited to tell their best friend that they're pregnant, or like, you know, excited to be like pregnant together like as friends or something like that, or just like excited to like grow and do life with their friend. Focus on something else that's like also extremely important. And like maybe it's like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing the dating apps, but maybe I'll try to go to like friendship meetups. That's like the one thing that was like I love, is like the addition of like third space groups. I feel like you can kind of find them on Instagram, or just like look them up on TikTok for your city. There's tons of them in New York, but it's basically like a lot of people recently have been making these groups or these Instagram pages where they host events that are specifically just about making friendships. Like it's not about like dating, and it's not like a networking thing, because I feel like oftentimes it's like, oh, well, like, is this networking? And it's like, no, it's just like a bunch of other people that might be like new to the city, or just like might be in the same boat as you. Everybody wants friends, so it's like you're all coming to this one place where you want friends. Did I like gain friendships from that? No, but I feel like it's the same way of like how people are like, oh, well, like you have to make dating your profession. Like you have to go on like 12 dates a week, or like you have to go on so many dates a week. I feel like it's the same. Like if I kept going and I kept going, I feel like I would have found a platonic soulmate, or I feel like I would have found that group. But then I also just like found friends in other ways, like through other people. And then that's the other thing. Once you start putting yourself out there, you realize that you meet people through people, and just like being open to connection. So also, I think that's like the best dating advice too, because you're tired of the dating apps and you're tired of all this and you feel like you're not meeting someone. If you focus on like making friends, I feel like the best way to meet somebody is like through a friend of a friend. If your friend is like, oh wait girl, like I know this guy, like he's perfect for you, like we went to college together, this is his vibe, like I vetted him, all this stuff, like I think y'all would be great together. I love those types of situations where it's like it's a friend of a friend, or like a person who knows a person, or like a coworker of a person. You know, if you're just like expanding your horizon and like broadening like the scope of the people that you just know and have connections with, then I feel like over time that will come. Okay, it's time to do my freaking hair. I have like 10 minutes left. My hair looks crazy. I literally started overheating and I am running out of time. So I'm gonna do my hair really quickly. Just gonna like hot comb my edges. And then I think I'm going to, well, I need to eat my food, get dressed, and go. But there was still more questions that I wanted to answer. So I think when I come home and after I shower, while I'm doing my skincare, I will finish up answering more questions. This is the final makeup look. It's honestly not my best work. I think my lip combo looks a little bit intense, and my hair is also needs a good washing. Let me show you my outfit in the mirror and then I will be out of here. I just had my my hair looks so crazy. I just had a quick little snack, and then hopefully I'll be able to eat more when I come home. The outfit isn't anything too crazy. I'm just wearing these trousers that I got from Zara. They do need to be steamed, but guess what? It's nighttime. It's nighttime. Nobody's gonna see. So yeah, I'm wearing these trousers and then my new, what are these? Mark Fisher boots that I love because they're so comfortable to walk in, but I feel like they elevate my looks. And then my belt, just a black long sleeve, and then my coat from And Other Stories. It is currently 12:30. I did not know how long operas go. That was like a full, basically like 5 hours, because it started at 7:30 and then it ended at like 11:30. So like 4-ish, 5-ish, hours. I really thought I was gonna get home more at like a reasonable hour, but it's still chill. It was like a really fun experience. I think I've been to an opera once, and like I didn't really like know the vibes, because I feel like the vibes are kind of different than just like going to like a Broadway musical, because people were super dressed up. Like people showed up in full gowns, like full sparkly ball length gowns, and I was just like, oh, like what's tea? Like I did not know that we were doing this. I pulled up in my trousers, you know? I felt bad. To add on to making friends in your 20s, I feel like it's so understandable that there's like a lack of time, because it's like you might be starting off your first job, or it's just like life feels super busy. But I feel like it's super important to also prioritize like hobbies and also developing third spaces, because like that's the main thing that's lacking in post-grad, is like you no longer have that third space. Like maybe in college you were a part of like a club, or maybe you were a part of a sports team or a cheer team or a swim club, you know? And like that was a third space where you had people to go to because you guys connected over something specific. And they still have those, like once you graduate, it's just like a little bit harder to find. But I would say like literally just go on TikTok and look up whatever specific third space you want to find, and then look up your city. I know for New York, there's tons of pickleball clubs, tennis clubs, golf clubs, reading clubs, and I feel like those are the best ways. A lot of you guys ask like how to get started doing things alone. I feel like I talk about this like quite often, because you guys know like I have my Going Solo series on TikTok, where it's like just me like doing stuff alone, and then also basically all of my YouTube videos are just me by myself, and it's like me just like doing things on my own. But there was a point where I was like afraid to do that, and where I was afraid to like go out and just do things by myself. Start with like the easiest and most comfortable thing. So start with something that you've already done like a bunch of times, like maybe with friends. So like when I started going and doing things alone, I would go to Washington Square Park, because I knew how to get there and I knew exactly what to expect. And I would go to the same boba spot, and I would go to the same sushi spot or like food spot or whatever, and I would get the same exact food, the same exact boba. I would walk through the park, people watch, and then I would go to like this one spot that like I like had already scoped out and I knew, because I had done this same thing with my friends like 3 times before. I know what to expect. I know what I'm going into. It's not like I'm trying something new. I just started doing that more and more, because I realized I was like, okay, well, like I like coming here, but I don't want to wait for people to be able to like go and do this thing that I like to do. Starting with that, doing something that you and your friends would like normally do, and that like you already like know what to expect going into, and just like try for the first time like doing that instead of inviting your friends. Just like try going alone. Like instead of like, okay, like maybe you guys always go to the movies or something like that, maybe one time instead of inviting them, you just try to go alone. Also keep in mind that it's like you never are truly alone in this day and age, especially. Even starting out, I feel like it could also be helpful, like maybe you call a friend. Maybe you go out to eat and like you're not sitting in a restaurant, but like you just go get some food, and then you FaceTime your friend outside. You know, just to get like started and just to get yourself in the groove, so that eventually you won't have to feel like you have to call a friend. But like if you have a cell phone, like you still have the option to talk and communicate with other people. And then also remembering, I live in New York City, where people like absolutely don't care what you do, like at all. Like nobody's looking at you. That may feel different in smaller towns, but then also like it's not. Like just like the regular human experience, like nobody cares what you are doing. Even if they look at you for a second, I guarantee you they've forgotten about you an hour later, unless they felt like you were like the love of their life and they can't stop thinking about you, and they're like, oh my god, I saw that person and I just can't stop thinking about them. I feel like that's the only reason that like people think about strangers. But like I see probably hundreds of strangers in a day just out and about in New York City. I don't remember what they had going on. I don't remember if they were sitting with somebody. I don't remember if they were eating with somebody. I don't care. I don't care. Like everybody has like other stuff that they're worrying about. Just remembering that like you're not the main character of other people's lives, so nobody's focused on you. You don't have to worry about that type of judgment, because nobody's even like paying you mind to judge. Moving on to our final category, which is dating. I really thought that you guys were gonna send me in like your dating scenarios, because I love reading those. I love reading like the little situationships that you guys are in, and then like when you come to me for advice, because I do think that I'm really good at giving advice. If you guys ever feel like you want to come to me for advice on your situations, I'm all ears. What do you think about relationships in this generation? My past 2 podcast episodes have actually been about this, because I've kind of started this whole like dating in the age of the internet thing, and I dove in like deep on my thoughts on. The first video was a response to the 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐳 Vogue article on is having a boyfriend embarrassing, and I kind of went into that on like if I think having a boyfriend is embarrassing now. And then the second podcast, which just went up like last week, was on has dating become materialistic, the whole like Shira 7 and like dating rich type of vibe. So I did like full in depth for like both of those on that, so I'll have those linked down below. Basically, to sum those up, I feel like it's a shit show. Is it crazy to want to be friends with your ex still? Literally, it depends on the situation, because I think about like the second chance romance books that I read. Kind of crazy, I don't know. Kind of crazy. I think about those, and in those, like, I'm not upset with them when they're like, oh, like be friends with, when they want to be friends with their ex. In those ones, it's like they haven't really done anything wrong. It's just like the circumstances aren't allowing them to be together, but obviously it's like they still love each other, which, okay, I guess then it's a second chance romance. So like I'm expecting them to get back together. So probably not. If you're not expecting to get back together, I think it can be very, very difficult. So I have to make absolutely sure that like both of you are completely over each other. Did either of you like F each other over? Like, did someone cheat? Did somebody like lie? Da 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 da. You wouldn't put up with that type of behavior if this was just your friend. So why are you trying to be friends with somebody that treated you poorly when you know that you would have cut off like a regular female friendship if they treated you poorly? We need to have the same type of leash that we have for female friendships, and how people are so quick to cut those off. Like the second that someone does something wrong, the second somebody doesn't wish you happy. Guys, we really need to think about this. We really need to ponder this, because I always see like the TikToks of people being like, this is how quick I cut off my friend because they didn't wish me happy birthday. Meanwhile, you're in a situationship where the boy that you're talking to, making out with, kissing, hooking up with, waited till midnight the next day because he forgot to wish you happy birthday, didn't even like acknowledge it, and didn't even want to do anything with you. But you're cutting off a 10-year friendship because they forgot to say happy birthday. It's just like we give these like situationships and like these heterosexual relationships and like romantic partners so much leeway. And I'm like, we need to start holding them accountable the same way we do friends. My main thing is always to be like, okay, so if this was platonic, would I put up with one of my platonic peers treating me this way? Why do situationships have so much spark but literally leads nowhere? I feel like you kind of answered your own question. It's because it has spark. Like that's the main thing with like situationships and these like long-term situations, right? I feel like the best relationships and the most perfect relationships, if you will, have the best balance of compatibility and chemistry. And whenever I think of a situationship, I automatically think that there's like a lack of compatibility here, because if there was compatibility, then you guys would be in a relationship. Situationships genuinely like are only based on chemistry, and they like only are chemistry based. And chemistry is also important because that spark is super, super important too. Like that like emotional connection and like that exciting feeling that you get, and that kind of just, you know, like it's like you just vibe with this person and you click with them. You can't confuse chemistry with compatibility. We also shouldn't, I feel like, accept one or the other. Like you also shouldn't just accept a relationship that's solely compatible, because then it's like that's a relationship without passion and love. You and this other person have so much chemistry and the spark is there, but you're not compatible. At least in this moment, you are not compatible. A situationship, like as it presents itself in modern society, is people acting as if they're in a relationship without a relationship title, which only leads to people getting hurt. There's always gonna be one person involved in this situation that either likes this other person more, or one person that is like confused on what's actually happening, right? There'll be one person in the situationship that knows that they never see a future relationship happening here. They don't want to lose this person that they have a really, really strong chemistry connection with. And then there's another person that's like continuously holding out hope that eventually this next person will decide that they want a relationship, and then the situationship will flow into a relationship. But like, I'm a strong believer of like, once you reach that situationship stage, I don't know. I personally think it's very low percentage that you're ever going to get out of that stage and reach a relationship. If two people like each other and they're both ready for a relationship occur. I do think it's that simple. I think what happens is we end up getting to situations where we like people that aren't ready for relationships, but then we mute that. We don't listen to that because we really like this person. The goal to dating is to decide whether or not you like somebody
whether they like you back and whether you both can see yourself in a relationship. That's why like situationships always confuse me, and I always say that they're very unnecessary, and that if we're entering into situationships, it's because we're either letting our delusions win, but why? If you're talking every day, if you're on the phone every day, if you're going on dates, if you're doing like holiday cute things together, if y'all are doing coupley things together, why are you not a couple? And that's my whole confusion with situationships, is like, all y'all have to do is just replace this name that you're calling it. And then that's why I'm always like concerned, and why I always like tell people, and like my advice would be, if somebody is telling you that they're stuck on this like situationship terminology, I would take that as a sign that they don't like you. I'm so sorry, like they don't like you, because it's semantics. It's all semantics. Unless like their idea of a situationship means that like they're still open and then they want to date other people, but then still, so they don't like you. I think the reason that situationships lead nowhere is because we have to realize these people don't like us. They might be infatuated and they might have chemistry with you, and there might be passion and there might be tension, but that doesn't mean that they actually like you as a person. Advice on dating with no experience. I'm 22 and very introverted. Practice where you feel confident. Say you and your friends go out. Maybe because your friends are around, this can be like a situation where you feel a little bit more confident. Like if there's like a group of guys and like you say to your friends like, hey, like let's all go up to this group of guys and just like shoot the shit. Like just chat. Have that practice on like talking to people that you might be nervous to talk to. That way you can then remove the nerves. I feel like that's a really big thing with like dating, taking people off of pedestals and just like bringing people down to like the same level, to where like you're no longer nervous to like talk to them, or you're no longer nervous to like approach them, or you're no longer nervous to like go on a date with them. If you're like chopping it up, y'all are in a big group, and then like maybe you could practice a little bit of flirting. See how that goes, but like also see what comes naturally to you. See how you naturally kind of vibe, but also it's like you're in a big group and you know, there's no pressure here, and like nobody's like assuming that like, you know, you're trying to hit on them or anything like that, but like you're still just practicing. Once you do that, I feel like then you could start working up to like maybe when you're on your own, like you can like, you know, figure out the flirtation vibe there. I wouldn't say to like jump straight into like boom, dating app, right? The first time that I went on a date with a dating app, I myself was like extremely nervous and just like freaking out, which I feel like a lot of people are for like first dates. It's like very understandable, but I tend to think that I'm somebody that's like really confident with speaking to anybody that I'm interested in. I'm a strong believer in, if I have something to say, I'm gonna say it, because I don't like living my life with regret. So like if I see something and I like it, I'm gonna go make sure that that thing knows that I like it. Life is too short to play tag. I'm big on just being upfront, say what you mean. If somebody reciprocates that, then that'll be no. My big thing is the compliment. I love to throw a good compliment. Also for making friends, I feel like the compliment is good. Complimenting the fit. And this way, like, it can't be a lie, okay? I'm really big on it can't be a lie, because then it's so hard to keep the conversation going. Let's say like you see a guy and you think they're cute, but let's say you like want to talk to them, and maybe you like, I don't know, maybe you like their hat, or maybe you like their shoes, or maybe you like their whole fit. I don't know, but I feel like it's good to like pick something specific. I think the best low risk, easy barrier of entry way to kind of shoot your shot is just like in passing, maybe tell your friends like, hey, like let's take a walk to the bathroom so I could pass by this guy in passing, and just be like, I like your shirt, and keep walking. Because now that guy knows that he likes that you like his shirt. When you give a man an in, if that man is interested, he will then pursue. Period. She likes my shirt. Oh my God, she likes my shirt. I do think that it's beneficial to just like make your feelings known. I don't feel embarrassed about it if they like don't do anything, because I didn't lie. I told the truth. And it's like not bad giving people compliments. Like at the end of the day, like I still made someone feel good. They might have not heard a compliment all day. If I just made them a little bit happy, then sure. Like that's all good. Once I got to the date, I kept trying to remind myself that like, this is just a person. Like this is just another human being at the same playing field than me. They're not Rihanna. Okay, I'm not meeting Rihanna. I'm not meeting Michael B. Jordan. I'm not meeting, and even those people, like they're still just people at the end of the day. But like that I would be like really freaking starstruck if I like met Rihanna or Zendaya. If I was going to dinner with Zendaya, I would pee my pants. I wouldn't be able to show up. This is just another human being that's also like going through the same thing. Just kind of framing it as like your only expectation from this is either A, just like possibly a good conversation, B, learning something new about a new person, or C, like maybe making a new friend, right? And just like letting the expectation stop there, because then it puts less pressure on wanting to say all the right things, or, oh, I need to like wear the right things, or I need to make sure that like he likes me, or da 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 da. If someone's gonna like you, they're gonna like you. There will be no stopping your person from falling in love with you. If they don't fall in love with you, they're not your person. So there's nothing you need to do to make someone fall in love with you. Someone's gonna fall in love with you as you are. That's it. Reminding yourself of that when you're going on the date, that like if it doesn't work out, it's because it was never meant to. It was never meant to work out in the first place, because the person that is meant for you and the person that's like made to be your person would have fallen in love with you regardless of like if you spat out your soup on the table in the first date. I don't know, like it, you know, it doesn't matter. It's now 111, make a wish. And I'm going to go to bed. Definitely let me know if you guys want me to do more chit chats like this and more girl talks like this, maybe once a month. See you guys.